Here we go. Welcome, Ramaji. So glad you guys can be here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Ramaji and Ananda Devi.
Ramaji and Ananda Devi.
Okay, well, it makes sense to maybe sit quietly a few minutes, in case more people show up. Plus, it's a good way to start. So let's do that.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Last week we had our first series. Started the January series last week. We had such a great time with all of you. Are there any questions? Anything you guys want to talk about today that you want us to focus on? Or we could just do our own thing.
Well, I think they're going to have questions, but I don't know. I kind of want to say something.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so the format here is at least we are going to say something. We prepare and have something that we want to say, some focal point. Then we open it for questions, and then we're going to do the rasa. So in theory, this could be conducted, we could sit in silence and then give you the rasa, which would continue to be in silence. So that's the essence of what is happening here. So there's talking and there's words and there's questions and there's answers. But that's all for the mind. And what this is about is something that is beyond or prior to the mind. It's not about the mind at all. And when you think about what are your most special experiences, the essence of your most beautiful experiences in your life, it's not mental, it's not the mind, it's feeling. It's about being, it's about experience. And I just want to, in case, I just want to recapitulate very, very quickly what the rasa is in the context of what's happening today in the world. So in 2011, while I was doing a healing, there was a ball of light that came down, okay? And this energy turned out to be something that helps people awaken very quickly. Now, I think this is part of a planetary event. It was part of that whole 2012 thing. And it's happening. We see it more and more evidence of this. And we live in an internet world, this fast-moving world. We were talking about it this morning. Things are instant. Everybody's getting used to, especially the new generation, everything's now instant. So why should we have to wait 50 years to wake up? Everything else, you get on Amazon, you got something the next day, So, now the mindset is different. Now the mindset is now. Should be a download. Well, that's what rasa is. It's a spiritual download from the spiritual internet, So if you're open to that, if you can suspend your disbelief and choose that, hey, it's just like that. not that that makes it magic, because it's still about being a human being. You still got to integrate, you got to do your work, and in a certain way, it never ends. The maturing, the refinement of your character, love, etc., doesn't end. It gets deeper and bigger and better. But, this is what gets you there. Then you live from that place. So it can happen really, really quickly. So we just want you to have access to that mindset, to that agreement, to, accepting that self-liberating perspective. You want to be free, you can be free now. You can go free today. You go free on this call when you get the RASA. In fact, you're free already, and the RASA is simply giving you the access code. Like, have a Swiss bank account with billions of dollars in it. This is the access code you needed. You have the money, but you need the code. So we're giving you the code for your brain, so your brain can unlock from duality and go into non-duality. Then once your brain is open and free and bright, then it's all yours. So anyway, that's what I wanted to say.
Okay. I mean, for me, because I'm just actually looking at the faces, I'm recognizing so many people that I work with or Ramaji works with. And, I think the greatest barrier to this knowingness of awakening is A, our conditioning, and B, the idea of allowing and resistance. And I think that it's not really understood. We think we understand what allowing means and what resistance mean, but we don't. And so I think Ramaji and I, let's go over that one more time, because the only reason you actually haven't gotten this yet is because you're not allowing. If you were allowing, you wouldn't be sitting here in the first place, because you wouldn't feel the separation to begin with. What starts the separation, what makes us seekers to begin with, is the resistance. The resistance meaning the constant frustration that we're fighting against existence. It's us versus that. In other words, it's a constant battle. But when you allow, and it's like trying to shove your way up the river, doing things, when you're allowing yourself to be a part of nature and be yourself, that's what we mean by being. It's not about trying to be, it's about being. You cannot not be. The mind thinks all the time, and so the mind is always trying to refine itself and refine your way of being, and that is the resistance. And I often use an analogy, and I've been using the simplest thing I can in my sessions. And it's like, and I've used this with a couple of people, and then maybe they get it sometimes for the first time. It's like waking up in the morning and we walk to our car and we notice the sun is shining. And we just notice the sun is shining. We don't resist the sun shining, it's shining, no resistance, allowing. We then notice that our neighbor across the road is walking their dog, and their dog takes a crap. And we feel, oh, gross. But we're still just allowing, so it's gross, that the dog took a crap on the lawn. Then we walk to our car and we get in our car and we switch on the ignition. Now the ignition gets stuck and we're getting late for our meeting. Now you start to feel anger. And now you don't like the way it feels. And that's when that comes in, that this feeling of resistance. Now, there are two ways of operating from that anger. It's allowing it to flow through you and being so open that you can feel the anger. As Ramaji has always said, you become an open window. You feel the anger. You're not now trying to stop it and block it. That's the difference between allowing and resisting. And when you start to notice it in yourself, then you know when you're in the flow or are the flow and you're simply not the flow. It's because we spend so much of our time resisting the existence. Is it our fault the car didn't start? Did we have anything to do with that? No. Life is always happening around us. We have a choice. We can either go with the flow or fight it. But the minute you're fighting it, it's like, you know, it's like the part can never overcome the whole. You have to become part of the whole. You're not separate from it. So the minute you start to fight it, that's the big difference. And when you really get that, when it starts to become a part of your beingness, you will notice such a difference, because you'll be able to just relax, let the feelings come. It's a feeling universe. That's part of being. Being is feeling. Same thing.
Yeah. The non-duality project that we're all involved in right here is totally different than religion. See, what's happening for a lot of people, and they don't even know it, is they were trained by religion. And religion is about you being imperfect and there's something wrong with you and you have to correct yourself. So when they meditate and they want to get into non-duality, they think, okay, I have to correct something. I have to change something. I have to improve something. I have to become better than I am now. So if you get angry, for example, like Ananda was saying, oh, that's wrong, because I should be like a saint. I shouldn't have anger. But if anger is arising in you, there's a damn good reason for it. It's part of your nature and it's part of what's going on for you. The very best thing you can do is let it happen. Now, of course, you don't want to do super crazy things that'll get you arrested. We're not endorsing that, but we're saying within any kind of reasonable limit, generally speaking, you can just let it go. So it's that subtle act of suppressing that's almost an unconscious habit. That's the resistance, because we've been told we should not get angry. And so as a habit, we don't actually experience our anger in its natural state. And as a result, we don't even know what it is. You see, you've already monkeyed with it and changed it and tried to stop it and then try to have another version of it. And by the time, you don't even know what you got there now. It's a mess. Whereas pure natural anger flowing through you actually, to be honest with you, feels ecstatic.
It's ecstatic. And
it's ecstatic.
And I want to add to that, this is when you start to transform. When your resistance and you let go little by little, it's taking the foot off the brake, which we've discussed often. And then what happens is a sense of being very authentic. And authenticity in this world is very scary, because when you are, especially for men, I feel, that's why females are somehow more receptive. They're more bridge-like. Men have been really conditioned that your feelings, let's say you want to cry, you feel sad, it's like, oh, I'm not masculine enough. I'm not being macho enough. It's this idea that we can't express what's really going on. Now, what is really going on is fundamentally all that's really going on, because the rest is just your mind trying not to be what it is. So you become a very authentic person, coming from a very real place. So when you meet someone, that vibration, that frequency is what's attractive to them. It's like, oh, I'm actually meeting someone who is being themselves. It's not about being an avatar. It's not about, you see, that's the difference. It's not about being an avatar. It's not about being some kind of weirdo. It's just about being you, perfection itself. How could it be otherwise? It doesn't make any sense otherwise. The logical mind isn't that logical after all, if you ask me, because really? Existence, how can it make mistakes? Look at it. Look, we miss it. We miss it because we don't see or feel what's right in front of us now.
We see the perfection of nature around us. Our nature is a part of that nature. If you go against your nature, if you push the river, if you try to control it and conquer it, you just create a mess. So we're talking about living in the natural state, which means whatever happens, happens. It's all spontaneous. The illusion of control is gone. Who is going to control what? You're going to control the universe, because every moment, every feeling, every sensation, every thought is an expression of the universe. You are not in a position to control anything. Now, does that mean you don't have something that you can't participate or anything like that? No, yes, you can. You can profoundly participate. Okay, but the universe is giving you a gift in each moment. nature is giving you a gift in each moment. And our job is to receive that gift with full approval and say, thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, you've heard about gratitude. You know, you've heard how it helps with prosperity and abundance. Well, what if, you know, you approved of everything that showed up no matter what it was? Then you will feel gratitude and appreciation, which means everything, positive, negative, and neutral, will be precious to you. Okay, so if we talk that way, you go, oh, well, that's beautiful. That makes sense. And that probably then you'll have love and you'll be happy and you'll be peaceful. That's right. Well, that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about floating up above, you know, the mountains, being some kind of God or some kind of angel or some superhuman or above human. We're talking about being really human, truly human. That's what we're here to be, truly human. And these emotions, these feelings that come and go, are part of being human. They're actually part of what's wonderful about being a human being.
And I'm going to add one more thing, and then maybe we can get you guys to ask us some questions. And what I wanted to say is, a lot of the time with spiritual seekers, the idea at the end is to lose the sense of the separate I. And often what we think is, so if we have to sit in meditation or just be quiet or take out a chunk or two of our lives and dedicate it to just awakening. But paradoxically, it's when you're in your life, it's when you are part of your life, it's when you're taking part in life that you suddenly forget the self is there. Because you're so busy in it, experiencing it, that you suddenly think to I mean, I'm sure you've all had a busy day where you've just been so busy that you think, who was actually in my day? What was it? Who did all that? How did I drive to work and meet my friends for a drink and go to the party and get home and feed the kids? What happened there? You don't know. Why? Because you were not trying to be it. You were being. You were just being. You weren't controlling. And seekers fall into a trap, in my opinion, and I've seen it so often, in that they are waiting for something to happen instead of just being, the happening.
Living.
And then that's when you have your existential experience. Like Sebastian said last week, oh gosh, I was washing the dishes at work. He wasn't trying to have his experience. And suddenly it dawned on him, I'm not the doer. How's this happening? He wasn't trying to be spiritual. He wasn't meditating at home. He was having a simple, normal day at work.
You know, you don't lose yourself. You don't lose your sense of existing. You just lose the experience of separation.
There's it.
So don't worry. You know, the so-called ego death is just the death of the extra baggage you've been carrying that you no longer want to carry anymore. But your ability to be yourself, to be human, to be an individual, to express yourself, to be in the flow. I mean, we're talking about when the resistance is gone, when the allowing is total, then you live in what we call the total let go state. That's a natural state. You're in the flow all the time. You can't get out of it because there isn't a resisting something or somebody to be in or out. It's the open window. It's the flowing river. You become the river. Yet you are conscious of being the river and of yet being somehow unique. It's amazing. You feel totally unique and individual, yet you also, everything is yourself. So it's really, you know, and yet at a practical level, it's actually the best way to live. That's the point. It is actually the most enjoyable way to live.
It's really radical acceptance, which brings on a sense of feeling very relaxed. It's a very
You're not the doer at all, not at all. Everything's spontaneous. Everything just happens, but it's truly spontaneous, which means everything's a surprise. You have no idea what's going to be next. It's like every day's your birthday, you know, and there's surprise after surprise after surprise because, you know, it's all being handed to you as a gift by the universe or by God or by nature. I don't know, you want to open it up for questions?
Definitely,
definitely. Let's see what people got. And by all means, you know, we encourage you during this, you know, when you're asking questions, be as direct, be as bold, be as aggressive and assertive as you want to be, as you can be. That's what we want. You know, we want to get to the nitty gritty because we think most teachers are beating around the bush and we're here to, you know, deliver the real deal. Okay, so let's see what people,
All right, well, I'm gonna someone wrote in, Kritzy wrote in, what if I don't feel gratitude? Do you want to jump on in person with that question?
No, that's wonderful.
Go ahead.
I think it's a great question.
Yes, you know, then allow yourself to not feel gratitude. It's because you know what? Sometimes you can feel that something's going on in life and that sucks. Whatever it may be, your experience is sucking right now. Can you allow that? Can you feel, do you have to feel bad for not feeling grateful?
That was a description, not a prescription. We're not telling you what to do. We're telling you whatever is happening, be that. Totally be that. So if you're not grateful, fine.
Don't be
really
grateful.
Be not grateful. Really get into it. Awesome.
I'm not grateful. I'm mad. I don't feel
And what'll
happy
happen
today.
is
That's what I feel.
What'll happen is you'll be grateful for not being grateful, because you're going to appreciate. Appreciate means increase in value. You're going to appreciate and experience the experience, and you're going to find it's precious. You know, I mean, you know, every experience is precious when you approach it with a total acceptance and embracing. You know, the ugly, you know, object becomes beautiful. Why? Because you made it beautiful by accepting it, embracing it. You don't have to love it. Another way of thinking about it is simply to approve it. You have, it's radical actually to totally approve of everything about yourself. Everything about yourself and everything that arises. Just totally approve of each thing. You'll be enlightened.
We don't walk around feeling grateful all day.
No, hell no.
No, I get mad. I get angry.
No.
Last night we had a big argument. It was awful.
Yeah.
I mean, my God. I mean, you know, I mean, why I don't walk around feeling blissful all day. I haven't
So how do you get through that? The fact is that our ability to not approve of our current experience is broken. That ability has been disabled. There is no button. There's only a yes button. So all we're doing is pushing the yes button all day long, every second, every minute, every hour. Yes, 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 yes. Universe is going yes, 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 yes. So it's all yes, 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 all day long, whatever it is. Could be positive, negative, neutral, beautiful, ugly, painful, pleasurable, ecstatic, horrible. Doesn't matter. Yes, 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 yes. And that's the freedom. See, it's not the content. It's not whether or not you're grateful.
The freedom is
yes
not needing
to,
freedom.
Yes to not being grateful. Awesome. Woo! That's it. You see, that's it. But like I was saying before, people think if they have a negative emotion, a negative thought, they've been taught, oh, that's wrong. They must correct it, or they're uncomfortable with it. People are afraid actually of pain. They're afraid of negative emotions because they're painful. They're afraid of them, and then they try to stop them, suppress them, control them, get rid of them.
And that's why we have so much.
And that leads to a lot of confusion.
The disease, because we have dis-ease, we are not able to just be who we are. We don't feel comfortable with our own self-expression. And because we are all so unique, and, you know, in a society, the societies we've been raised to think we have to be like this or like that, not that the way we are is perfection itself, just the way it is. Not that there isn't room for personality development, going to school, reading a book, doing math. Of course, use your mind. Use your mind when you feel like using them. What I'm saying is don't let it control you, yourself. This isn't about never thinking again or blissing out forever in a day. It's about being.
You're not your mind, and you never will be. So you don't have to worry about your thoughts. They might as well be somebody else's thoughts.
Who cares what they are? Who actually cares?
They are not your thoughts.
You're going to think a million things in a day.
You can function. We have both functioned for long periods of time. I mean, I personally remember 2 days in which I basically had no thoughts at all, and I was still doing the same work schedule, working with people all day long that I usually have. I didn't need any thoughts at all. So I can tell you right now, you don't need thoughts. And that scares the bejesus out of your mind. That you tell your mind, hey, I don't need you anymore. You know, it's going to freak out. So, but you don't. You really don't need your mind. But after awakening, you still have it. It's still there. You know, like your computer, but you don't live and breathe your computer all day long, right? I mean, you know, it's just there when you need it. So that's the way it is with the mind.
And the funny thing is as the awakened person begins to awaken, you know, through grace, through the rasa, through whatever, you will naturally start to feel your emotions in a big way. And so don't be afraid of them. You know, Ramaji always says to me whenever I'm having an emotional moment, okay, so it's a feeling, go there. And instead of running from it, be it.
Move into it.
Move
towards
in.
it.
You
Move
become fearless. And that way you'd be surprised how quickly they just come and go, and eventually they're just not that extreme anymore. You know, you don't have
It's
to
all
resist.
coming and going. If you don't do anything about it, it's just going to leave. You know, I mean, if you just go, okay, wow, look at this. And, you know, I'm having this experience, this feeling, this thought, whatever, this body sensation, whatever it is. If you just notice that it's showed up, you know what, and you don't try to change it, it leaves on its own. Nothing lasts, nothing stays, nothing. Only the space of awareness is here. Kind of like a train station. The trains are coming and going all day long, but the space, you know, all the people coming and going, but the space remains the same. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about being that space. And you find out about that space by no longer trying to control or change or improve your content. You begin to basically do nothing, but in a very aware way with what's arising. You begin to realize that everything that arises is perfect exactly as it is. It is a spontaneous wisdom arising, whatever it is.
You just stop believing your own story.
Yeah.
It comes, it goes, who cares? You know, another way to look at that spaciousness is when you think back, think back to when you were a baby, your earliest memories. Then go into when you were 2, when you were 4. I don't know when those memories are, 5, a teenager, in your 20s, in your 30s. You've changed. You've got your body's changed. The way you look has changed. You have different ideas, maybe different professions. God knows, if our whole bodies have literally recreated themselves. But something knows that it's never changed. What's never changed? What's been there from the minute you were conscious? What's that? That's that.
The sense of essential self, the
That's
pure
existence
being,
itself, the beingness.
Pure sense of existing. You see, it is prior to thought. It's not based on thought. All those changes are based on thought. Whereas the foundation, the baseline for all of these changing experiences is this essential self, your essence, your pure sense of being. It's there all the time. It's there right now. Could call it awareness or consciousness, but it's actually simply what you are. And when you rest in that being, drop into that being, you will find its nature is happiness. It's thoughts that come along and say there's something wrong, there's something missing, there's a lack. That is all thought. Mm-hmm. When that's not interfering, when thought is not interfering and you're resting in your being, I am, I exist, I am this experience of existing, pure being, pure existing. And you rest in that, you find, oh, everything's fine. It is fine, it is okay. In fact, it's perfect. And the peace and the love and the happiness and the kindness and the fulfillment and the contentment and all of that, it's in the being itself. When you go into thought, then you create the fantasy. You imagine that there's a problem. You imagine there's a lack. There isn't. There isn't. It's all the mental circus, the 3-ring circus of the mind. And you take that trip and it seems like a joyride, but then you end up crashing. And eventually you realize I have to live in being. And you trust being more and more, and then the being becomes a totality for you, full being, and then doing takes care of itself, like a cup that overflows. You know, you keep pouring water into the cup and it overflows, and the doing is that overflow from being. The doing is automatic. You're not the doer anymore. The universe does everything. And then you're just enjoying the ride, you see. You're getting the VIP seat. Okay, any more questions? Thank you for that. I think that's
yes.
Thing for a lot of people, that gratitude thing. Okay, yeah, mm-hmm. Anybody else?
We have 2 raised hands and also 3 people that have written in their questions. So I'm going to go in order of how they've come in. And Priya, you are next.
Hey guys.
Hey Priya.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm very good.
You look awesome, Priya.
I wanted,
You're beautiful.
Yeah.
Yay. I wanted to ask an advice on interacting with people, because I find that as I become more authentic and I'm more okay with the negative stuff coming up, counterintuitively, people start to call me damaged. So when I'm like, I feel bad, it's okay that I feel bad, and I want to feel bad because this is just natural for me, like people start to attribute like some sort of like, you're broken, you're damaged. And I understand that, you know, like we're at different places, and that's okay. I just wanted to know if you had any practical advice for like what to do. Like, I understand that we don't see things, and that's okay. It's just, I'm still human, and I still want to connect with my fellow humans.
Yeah,
And
but that sounds like somebody that knows you very, very well and has an agenda against you.
strangers at book club.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
just like
Oh,
I can have dinner with someone, and they could be upset over something, and they're like trying to fix how upset they are, and they're trying to like force it into like some sort of way to be okay. And I'm like, it's okay, you feel bad, that's okay, feel bad, I'm here for you. But they're like, no, I have to feel better, like I can't feel bad. And
I know. Well, you're being a teacher, so you might as well ask them. Tell me the truth. This trying to fix your feeling bad, has it ever really worked for you?
okay,
And the
I can do
answer
that.
is it never has. All you're busy doing is distracting yourself from your pain, but you're not actually resolving it in any way. So you can just say to them, does this really work for you? Because it doesn't, does it? So stop bullshitting me.
And the other
Let's
thing,
get down to it.
Yeah.
This is yours, and okay, own it. It's happening. This is what it is. Why are you running? You're scared. See, what you're talking about is the same thing I was talking about. What we were talking about is people are terrified of their negative feelings because it's painful. They're terrified of the pain. We run from the pain. We chase the pleasure. But as a result, we're hamsters on a wheel. So, you're actually teaching these people, and they're resisting you. They're scared of what you're saying to them. But, this is what happened. This is what happens because, the problem is not actually they're a negative emotion at all.
No.
Obviously not. Their problem is their resistance, their struggle. In fact, they're labeling that it's bad and negative. That label is itself the beginning of being unhappy.
And I think it's hard sometimes because I don't always feel like we're on the same team anymore. And like, it could be strangers.
It can be isolating.
It can be.
The awakening process can be isolating.
But you'll be surprised, Priya. The right people, you vibrate on a frequency, you will attract the right people to you. When you're available and you just are giving people the blessing of your presence, just your presence, by being there for them. You can't fix them. You can't help another person's process. What you can do is be there for them and listen. That's enough.
The other thing you can do is just change your approach a little bit and just simply ask them some general questions. So don't imply you're telling them what to do at all, but you just say, wow, what's that feel like? What's that experience? Let me understand your experience a little bit better. I'm really interested. I'm all ears.
You have to meet them where they're at.
Yeah, you go where they're at.
You can't expect them to meet you where you're at.
And then
you have to meet them
they know that you're there with them, and then they open up to you. So, this is we have found the most effective way to be. You first have to go where they are, and then they feel met, and then you ask them questions, they open up, and then this gives them a new, like they have a new door opens for them.
I think that would be true because like I do like to meet them where they are, because I don't, like, I haven't forgotten what it's like to feel that way. I do think I do hit that resistance that you were talking about earlier. Like I am knocking on a door that no one wants to acknowledge exists. And I think that's where I kind of struggle. So like if the person I'm talking to like is going through a really hard time, and like I meet them there, there's still that door where they're like, I don't want to talk about it. Like this door does not exist. Okay. And that's who I meet in my day-to-day life.
Well, both of us in our personal lives were the kind of people prior to becoming spiritual teachers where people would come to us, tell us all their problems, et cetera, et cetera. And yet it was frustrating because we would try to respond and help, and yet the people were not actually receptive to what we really wanted to say. When we became spiritual teachers, that put us in a position so where when people show up, they're saying, okay, I'm really going to listen to you. And so the role of being a spiritual teacher or whatever, life coach or,
social worker.
I mean, we are that. Otherwise, you see, people are not giving you the respect that you deserve. So our role enables us, it creates a situation where people say, okay, I've chosen to be here. I admit I don't know. I need help. I need somebody to guide me. And whereas with a peer-to-peer thing with friends and so on, or family, I mean, they're clueless.
We don't even go there with them.
Really, yeah, we don't try.
I don't even talk about non-duality with my
Forget
my parents.
the family. Forget family.
Oh, why would I just have a normal? You know, when you meet people, you just have.
So you're probably a teacher. You're probably a budding teacher, and you're in this transition phase where you have a passion about the truth and you want to share it, but you know you're not. You understand? So I think that's what's going on with you.
Which is why I love people to awaken, because naturally what starts to happen is your need to help. It no longer becomes about little me, little I. It's more about how can I help? How can I be of benefit to the whole, versus all about me and blah, blah, blah. Eventually that's what happens.
Yeah.
And that's when I call, or what I call, starting to integrate, real integration.
Yeah. So eventually this will all work itself out.
It works itself out on
its
own.
Right now, you know, we've been through the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know, like, they don't want to. I don't want to be their teacher, right? And they don't want me to be their teacher. It's just this simple, like, you know, still having that human connection, because, you know, like you said, you don't stop being human. And so, like, if someone's having a bad day, and you're like, it's okay that you feel bad. I've heard people be like, oh, you must be damaged or broken, or something terrible must have happened to you. And I'm like, no, it's just totally okay for me.
Another option, which I found very powerful when I was, you know, in non-duality, is actually going, you know, starting to be a teacher. I was in a situation with somebody and you know, they were very upset about what was going on with their boyfriend. And so I offered to just listen. So this person talked to me for half an hour, and all I did was listen. And I really, really listened. And after that half an hour, she said, now I know what's wrong with my relationship. He never listens to me. You just listened to me, and you're the first person in my whole life to listen to me. And this has changed my life. So what did I do? I didn't say a word. All I did was listen. That's actually one of the most powerful things you can do. So,
do you know how often we get that?
Yeah.
Just the listening, just the listening, just the being present, the presence.
So you can also work with that. And how can that ever go wrong? Because basically everybody's starving for attention. Everybody's starving to have somebody listen to them. And if you do that, you've given them a gift that they will feel as a human being, regardless of any kind of teaching.
And don't fall into the trap of projecting that you think you know what their experience of you is. You cannot know. You have to ask. So if you want feedback, ask for feedback. But don't presume that they're thinking you're damaged.
They have said it out loud.
Oh, that particular person did, but I'm sure
like a couple people. Like, it's happened enough that I felt the need to ask that question.
They may be afraid.
I think they're afraid of you know, they said, well, you must be damaged because they don't want to look at their own stuff.
I think that's what it is. Like, if it was one person that I know and I'm like, I had a read on them and I'm like, this is just how they are. But when you meet like multiple people and, you know.
Well, it has to do with your transitioning out of the people you've had in your life. So your vibration is changing, but it's going up. But these other people are at the old vibration, and this is a transition phase for you.
Okay.
It's kind of like entering into a parallel reality.
It does suck. We're not going to say it doesn't suck, okay? But
it can suck.
You know, yeah. So.
It's like you said, we don't stop being human. We don't stop caring for the humans that are here right now when this is it.
Care even more.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah. Well, we understand. Trust me, we do. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah. Something else?
Okay, we had someone write in a question. He asked, is being fully accepting of everything something that can be worked on the conscious level alone? If not, how do you start working on the subconscious level to be whole? And I also want to invite this person to jump in if you want to expand on that. Should I read that again for you?
No. See, the question itself is the problem. This is it. This right now is it.
This is being.
Where in your thinking have you decided that there's something wrong here? See, that's to look at. That's what you want to look at. Not don't take an action. It would like, I assume there's a fire in the house and I start beating everything and trying to put out flames that aren't there. There is no fire. Everything's perfect. It's all okay. How about that?
How can you
How
not
about
be?
looking at your assumption? Unless you think there's something wrong, is there something wrong? You see, so that's the thing to do. If you want to do something, examine your own beliefs and assumptions. and let go of anything that says this is anything other than perfect exactly the way it is. You know, and people are afraid of that because then they think, oh, I won't be motivated to do more. Oh no, don't
you'll be
worry.
even more motivated.
Nature, the river of life, will flow through you even more powerfully and more totally. You'll be able to accomplish much more with much less effort. Okay, the power of the universe of nature is going to take care of everything. It's doing everything anyway. So hopefully that's a good Zen answer for you. In other words, don't do anything, just notice and examine your beliefs and your assumptions, you know, that block your perception now of the way things really are, which is perfect and totally okay, exactly as they are. In this
A large part of when I had my awakening, however many years ago, was that I suddenly had this insight that everything I believed and thought was just a belief and a thought. And I was so struck by the shock of this understanding that I started to write. And I just sat for 2 weeks in front of my fireplace and wrote down everything I believe and everything I thought. And I just burned it.
Yeah.
To the point that I was empty. There was nothing there.
That's if you want an exercise, you want a technique, then yeah, write down these beliefs and then burn them up, literally on a piece of paper, and burn that piece of paper. You know, that's good.
This is a teaching about truth. Truth. We are teachers of truth. And there's nothing we can say, because the minute we say it, we've missed it.
You don't acquire truth. You already are
it.
Truth. You can let go of the false beliefs, the false stuff that interferes. You already have the diamond. You are the diamond. You got to get rid of the mud that covers the diamond. You think you're holding a piece of mud. No, you're holding a huge, beautiful diamond. You got to wash off that mud. That's these false beliefs, false assumptions, etc.
Fundamentally, awakening is destructive because it's destroying the false. The false are the things we think, our beliefs, the things that don't work for us. After you awake, if you want to cling to a certain belief because it feels right and good for you and it's following your bliss, by all means, but ultimately you're giving it the meaning.
Yeah.
The mind's giving it the meaning. So when you get that, it's a whole new world. It's a whole new way of being. You know?
So Sarah, what time is it?
It is 11:45.
Okay, so how much time do we have for questions? Because we need 20 minutes for the RASA.
20 minutes for the RASA, so we still have 25 minutes for questions. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
Next question.
Yeah, we got some time. So Bob, I'm going to unmute you. Lower your hand.
Hey guys.
Hi Bob.
Hi.
I was hoping you'd ask a question.
Yeah, I've been sitting on the sidelines from.
Yeah, I was looking at you. Yeah.
Well, I think you kind of addressed my question with the last question. Yeah, I guess my experience lately has been kind of going back and forth between this, old personality and old belief of who I think I am, and then going into more of a spacious not knowing. And right now, I guess I'm in the old pattern. And it's been since childhood, basically. This personality is built up about being not good enough and insecure and scared, and I know that. I know, that that's not true. But I'm still there, and I know that I need to accept that, but it's, who is it that needs to accept that? It's like, and I can't accept it, so that must mean I'm not getting it.
Well, what do you mean you can't accept it? Can it be okay with you right now? Can you just take a moment and try to, stop overthinking this about who is doing the accepting? And can it just simply right now, for a moment, can these flaws of your character, of your personality, can they be okay?
Have you felt them, Bob? What do you do when they come up?
In this moment, just choose.
Yeah, I mean, it's so old and familiar that.
No, right now, Bob, please, in this moment, take a moment and please choose to be okay with all these flaws, or whatever you want to call them. Okay, just choose it right now. Just a moment, just for a moment. Okay, don't resist it. It's okay. It's 100% okay right now, but just for 5 seconds. For 10 seconds, it's okay. Just choose that experience. Okay? Now, what do you feel? Do you feel peace?
No.
Then you didn't choose okay.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody else on the call, if you got anything like that going on, any discipline, now choose. Remember, we're not saying you have to be okay all day with yourself. Just anything about yourself, whatever it might be that you don't like or you have trouble with, just choose for 5-10 seconds that it's okay. I choose to feel this is okay. I'm just going to choose okay right now with this. You know, in a minute from now, I can disapprove, but for 5-10 seconds, I'm going to choose it's okay, and I approve of it. It's okay. Okay, now I'm going to assume some people actually felt peace, felt more peaceful. Okay, thanks. So what's going on here? What's going on is you're actually actively choosing to not be okay with your experience all day long. So as soon as you choose, sounds radical, right? You actually choose to be okay with your experience for 5 or 10 seconds. If you actually do that, and anybody can do this for 5 or 10 seconds, come on. I choose to be okay with my drinking. I choose to be okay with kicking my dog. I choose to be okay with my bankruptcy. I choose to be okay with my divorce.
I mean, Bob, you spoke up now. Look how authentic sharing that was.
Yeah.
You just spoke up on a call in front of a whole bunch of people, and you said it the way you feel it.
Right.
That's what I mean by being authentic. You owning what you feel. It's not all the time for you, as you say, you're oscillating between, you know, and what's happening with you is you're resisting because what you like is the peace. We all do. We all would prefer the peace than to have to go into our dark like shadow. What's the difference between a child's innocence than a grown-up's innocence? You know, we always say we go back to the natural state. The child has got an innocence that's a little dumb because they'll put their finger in an electric socket. They haven't been through the dark night of the soul, so to speak. But when you've been through the dark night of the soul and you come out the other side, then your innocence is not an immature innocence. It's mature. It's matured. It's because you have gone into your feelings. You've allowed these things to surface. You've allowed yourself to feel them. And then you are going through that's what ultimately we're all going to go through a form of hell. And I don't care who you are. You know, there are things that come up in life and they are hard and they suck and it is rough. You know, and, you know, I always say if you cannot find yourself in the bliss, then you can't find in the piss, you can't find yourself in the bliss. This is duality. Sorry, this is the realm. We live in duality. Piss, bliss. You're always there.
So yeah, there's nothing, you can't fix it, but what you can do is be it. You know, I mean, it is what it's happening right now. So, you know, basically the wisdom is to go, okay, it's happening right now. And really to be very curious about it, you know. Don't assume wrongness about anything. Just be very curious. Okay, what is the exact experience I'm having? Where does it come from? Where does it go to? What's happening moment by moment? You know, like for example, if you're depressed, guess what? Your depression an hour from now is not the same exact depression. Your depression, whatever it may be, is changing every second. So you see, you want to pay very close attention, and eventually what you will begin to see is that everything is spontaneous. It rises and falls, arises and falls. There's this pulsation. When you really see this happening in the moment, that sets you free. Because now you realize it's the whole universe doing this in each moment. And everything's perfect. The universe loves what it's doing. It's absolutely thrilled with what it's doing.
And Bob, do investigation. Go inside and say, where does this belief come from? Try find out where these beliefs come from. Was it something your mom told you, your dad?
Go back. I've done years and years.
Okay. No, because they come up.
All of that stuff.
But then that's your choice, Bob. You are choosing then actively. If you know they're not true and you know where they come from and yet you are still choosing, then, you know, only you yourself must, is going to have to decide, guess what, that belief no longer
It's important
serves
to
me.
understand that this is not about the personality. Okay, people think enlightenment or awakening is I'm going to change my personality.
Impossible.
Yeah, no,
it isn't.
I guess, you know, in my experience, when I step back and I can see that it's all a construct. It's all, you know, all these beliefs are just thoughts and embedded thoughts in my brain.
Yeah.
And
if you can't, so what's the problem when you can't? Why is that a problem when you can't? That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that's a problem.
Yeah, that's right. That is.
Why is it though?
Why is it?
Yeah, why is that a problem when you don't have that clarity or that space? That's also happening. Isn't that also whatever's happening in the moment?
Yeah, like, so what if you don't have the clarity in the moment?
Yeah, so you see the clarity in that moment would be, okay, this is what's happening. So I'm fuzzy, so I'm confused. So there's a fog, there's a cloud.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you're driving in a foggy night. I mean, does that mean there's something wrong? It just means there's a lot of fog.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, so examine why are you afraid of this experience? Why are you judging it? Why are you rejecting it? There's nothing wrong with it. See, because ultimately, you know, so the clouds cover the sun, the sun is still there. That's what you're going to realize sooner or later. You're probably assuming that you've lost it.
Yeah, and that's right.
But you haven't
feels
lost
like,
it.
You know, it's I think through all the years I've built up this identity, and so I'm locked into this. It feels like when I feel it, or when I think there's something wrong, I kind of latched onto that's who I am, right? So it's my attention feels like it's focused entirely in this, like you say, you're riding this roller coaster, you're going on this joyride, which isn't so joyful, but
It's ups and downs.
Yeah, and
well, it just sounds, I don't know, I mean, you know, wish we had more time, but it just sounds like you don't actually,
there's a lot of resistance.
You think there's something wrong,
yeah,
you know, and
that's the resistance.
And that's the thing to look at, not the content, not the fact that you're, you know, having this or that experience, but look at how you're, you know, finding something wrong about it. That's the essence of it. It's not about having this or that. It's not about.
Could that be just a habitual thing that automatically?
Well, that's the mind.
It doesn't feel like I'm making a conscious choice to do this, you know.
Well, it's
an excuse, you know.
It's not a conscious choice. It's an unconscious habit. That's what we've been talking about.
It's a whole lot.
All of today.
Yeah.
Today, that's been the theme. It's the unconscious habit of rejecting your now experience, not approving of it, not embracing it, not liking it, rejecting it.
And it's old momentum, Bob. A lot of the times as you
suffering.
start to awaken, this stuff starts to come up because this is the stuff that has to go.
The content, so to summarize, the content is not the problem. Rejecting the content is the problem.
What you resist persists.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The resistance itself is the problem, not the content. But people are afraid of the content. They try to get rid of it, and then it's an endless dog chasing.
Yeah, and I try to, you know, I play the game of saying don't resist, and
but in the moment, see, don't
becomes
say.
A mind thing, right?
I hear you, but
that's
you see,
effort.
To say don't resist, you've already lost it. In this moment, be aware of what you're feeling with your body, what's going on in this moment as sensation, not through thought. Don't go into thought. If you go into thought to do this, you've lost it already. It's whatever's happening in this moment.
Yeah, that's why I find
thought is a way to get away from what's happening.
Yeah, and I focus my meditations more into the body and
well, yeah, in this moment, be aware of, you know, feel. Really, this is all about feeling, everybody, you know, and we're all afraid of feeling. So we all chase feeling. We want intense, beautiful experiences, and yet we're afraid of feeling at the same time. So this is about, I had one teacher, I asked him, what is this all about? And he said, living in a state of unblocked feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good definition, living in a state of unblocked feeling with your whole body, by the way, so that it's really all about being the five senses and then having the feeling capacity of a human being and the intelligence of a human being. But you're really living like like a little child, or like an animal, like your dog or your cat. You know, we all envy our dogs and cats. Well, you know, they're all living in the five senses in the moment. That's why we envy them. Well, that is the awakened or enlightened state.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks, Bob. Sorry.
I like the fog analogy too. That's a good one.
But, yeah, you're closer than you think.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's really amazing to start recognizing this stuff and talking about it. It's the beginning of dissolving it. So,
Yeah,
you know, most people are in denial they even have any stuff, and that's a much bigger problem.
Yeah,
so,
actually getting stuck in this quandary, this state of you can't get out, that's actually usually the beginning of the end.
Exactly. It's the beginning.
Because now you're realizing you can't do it. And when you realize you can't do it, that's when the real letting go happens.
Well, that's, you know, and I get, my mind feels hopeless. Like it feels,
awesome.
Good, awesome.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Because it can't help
That's
you
the
there.
beginning of the end. That's what we call end of seeking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When you realize that positive hopelessness.
Yes.
You know what, it's, there's a rubber band analogy, you know, we're pulling the rubber band and pulling it back and pulling it back, and they struggle and struggle. And one day it fly forward.
But you have to maximize,
But you just,
you
you
may
know,
well
this,
have to
it's just part
maximize
of
the
this.
struggle. You know, may have to reach critical mass.
Sometimes the struggle gets to be a huge, big struggle. It just does, you know.
Yeah.
You don't know. We don't know. So,
But yeah, you're actually doing really well.
yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing,
guys.
Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
That's real sharing.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
real, dude. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, next.
Okay, we have 10 minutes.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So we have still a couple written in questions, one hand raised. We'll see what happens. But there's a question here someone wrote in: are psychedelics harmful for progress?
Yes.
I feel like it's a very important question.
The only one that I think is decent is ayahuasca, with the proper context, you know, ritual, somebody that really knows what they're doing. From a clairvoyant, energetic point of view, taking LSD and other psychedelics can actually poke holes in your aura, put black holes in your aura, disintegrate your protective boundary of your aura. So if you're going to do things like that, then don't do it more than, say, once a year. And really, we recommend against doing it. And also in terms of marijuana, my perception, when I've studied people with marijuana who smoke a lot of marijuana, is it slows down. You know, they feel more chilled out, but it's slowing down the movement of everything in their aura. So it's ultimately kind of dulling. So again, something that if you're going to do it, just do it a little bit.
Listen, I love a glass of wine or two.
We're in favor of red wine, frankly.
You know, and so I would say if you want to smoke some marijuana every now and then, I'm not going to say it's a bad thing, but I would say that the LSD, the big things that really mess with your consciousness, again, ask yourself, why do I want to do LSD? Why would I want to take that? It's to escape. It's because this isn't good enough. Once again, there are many ways you can escape.
It will damage your energy field.
But it's just an escape. So, the bottom line is there comes a point where you recognize that whatever trip you may go on, you are going to have to come back here.
Yeah.
But when you come back here, you start doing your work, you start getting your rasa, you start awakening, a real authentic awakening, not a heebie-jeebie LSD awakening. That's whatever that is.
We've both taken psychedelics back in the day.
When I was a youth.
Yeah, when I was,
it was super fun though.
In college and stuff. And yeah, it's more like entertainment. Don't think that's a path to enlightenment. And there is a very real risk. I mean, I screwed myself up, taking too many drugs too. So stop.
Really?
Yes,
you always go into it. What happened to him? How many? He's a Virgo. I mean, he has not taken too many drugs. He's afraid for his health. He doesn't do those things. Okay, but maybe a few. That's funny. A few.
Well, I considered myself screwed up. That was my subjective evaluation. I did go to a psychiatrist. I did. Yeah, and he gave me Quaaludes, and they are awesome. So I'm like walking down these stairs, and I'm just like rubber, and I feel so loose and open and relaxed and blissful. So I went back to the doctor the next time, and I said, "Man, those Quaaludes are fantastic." But then after I kept taking them, they kind of went away. That wonderful experience. He says, well, I can't give you any more. And I said, why? He says, well, if you keep trying to have that experience, you're going to have to double and triple the dose, and it'll kill you. So you see, drugs can give you this experience, and then you want more. And the problem is when you take more and more, it becomes toxic. And like I said, from an energy point of view, after you take a number of psychedelics, I'm not saying one time, one LSD trip is
Although it has been known, God forbid, to
Could
kill
happen.
one time because there's shit in the drugs as well. You
Yeah.
don't know. They could be like laced with rat poison today.
But-
we don't know. You don't know
Yeah.
if you're getting good drugs.
Yeah,
even.
so
why
not
bother?
a good idea. Let it go.
You
Stop doing it. And I don't, there's a book, Perfect Brilliant Stillness by David Kars. His awakening was taking ayahuasca. So, I mean, there is something to ayahuasca. I don't know if Ananda agrees with me, but anyway, so that's our answer.
Again, I would say with a medicine man or a person with a doctor,
Exactly,
the
that's
last
what
thing
I'm
we want to
saying.
do is encourage any drug taking.
That's what we're saying.
To be honest, I ask students if they're young, especially if they do any form of LSD, and that I don't work with them because I don't think they're ready.
You need to get clean.
You need to clean yourself up and be.
It's toxic.
There's a mature seeker, and
we're not against having a good time, but there are things that they're too risky and they're too toxic, and that includes psychedelics. You have to be, or at least be extremely cautious. Don't be naive about this. Okay, next question.
Okay, you. I'm going to unmute you. Or you unmute yourself. Great.
Yes. Hey, so I'm Aryu. So I'm new here. So Ramaji previously mentioned that you can walk around and doing things in a whole day without having a thought. So I think I may have a misconception about what a thought is. So going back to Ananda's example, when you walk into your car and you get angry about the car not starting, do you think that's, my first question is, do you think that's caused by a thought? So my previous understanding was that it was caused by a thought, and it was particularly caused by the thought of misidentifying with me, and this is my car, so I get angry because this is my car. So I would assume that a thought-free, totally allowing person wouldn't get angry. So am I right here? So will he get angry or not?
Well, are you familiar with Nisargadatta Maharaj?
Not quite.
Well, get familiar with him because he got angry a lot.
Right.
Okay,
So,
nobody's accusing him of not being enlightened.
Right. So you can still get angry about the situation. So
there was a famous master, the successor to Lao Tzu, named Chuang Tzu. And he was at the funeral of Lao Tzu, and there's like hundreds of officials, and they're all dressed up in this fancy way, and he's the leader of the ceremonies, and he's crying his eyes out. So his top disciple nudges him and says, Master, you're looking really bad in front of everybody, crying like a baby. And Chuang Tzu turns to his disciple and he says, you fool, to be awakened doesn't mean you turn into a block of wood.
Right.
Still have feelings. The feelings flow naturally, effortlessly, and totally.
And of course you can still get angry.
There may or may not have been a thought that, quote unquote, you're assuming something in here that most people do, which is that thoughts cause actions, thoughts cause feelings. But because everything is arising in the moment and disappearing in the moment, the thought appears and then disappears. Right. I could have the thought, okay, I'm going to go to my car, like we were talking. And then all of a sudden a friend comes and I'm headed that way. And then an old friend shows up and, hey, I haven't seen you in 10 years. I stopped going to the car and now I talk to my friend. Well, if thought caused action, my thought would have caused me to go to the car. You see what I mean? You're assuming that thought had to cause anger. No, anger could arise with or without thought because each moment is discrete and complete. It's spontaneous.
Right, so that was one assumption. The other assumption is that I'm so attached to this is my car, and that's part of the reason why I get angry in the first place. So if I wasn't so attached to this being my car, I wouldn't get nearly as
I don't
angry.
feel like anything
why are you so attached to being non-attached?
Right.
I don't feel anything is mine, but my nature is that I have a temper.
Right.
And I mean, I could get angry for no reason at all, or I get angry.
Yeah, he's super grumpy.
I get very grumpy, but there's nothing going on. It arises spontaneous within me. That's my nature.
Right. But Ramaji, you also said you would always hit the yes button. So wouldn't you in the next moment?
Grumpy.
Yeah, right. So I'm yes to grumpy.
Yes to grumpy.
I enjoy being grumpy. And if I'm not grumpy, I'm going to enjoy that too. It doesn't matter.
But if you accept yourself being angry, then wouldn't you, again, have some peace and calmness?
You do. We're saying you do.
That's what we say.
What we're saying. The anger doesn't, It's, you know, another analogy is the sky. When you have clouds in the sky, you have a thunderstorm in the sky, it doesn't change the nature of the sky.
Right.
The sky is still open. So, you know, the reason you can enjoy anger, or you can enjoy grumpy, you can even enjoy depression, you can even enjoy despair. Why? Because you have a sense of the spaciousness in which it's happening, that it's, you can see the beauty of it.
Right.
You can see that you can see there's nothing wrong. It's like a painting by Picasso. You look at it and many people will say that's so ugly and it's so full of pain and it's so this and it's so that, yet it's a great painting that sells for $20 million. Okay, now what if you regarded your anger or your despair or your depression or your irritation or your judgment as a Picasso painting? And you just go, wow, I know this is a Picasso painting. I just have to figure out what's so special about it, what's so beautiful about it, what's so something about it. You see what I'm saying? The assumption that there's something wrong with it, the assumption that it's limiting and defining me, that is caused, you see what I'm saying? The assumption is the problem. If I was to assume that this emotion is indeed a beautiful gift from the universe, if I assume there's nothing wrong at all, but it's perfectly okay, I will experience it in a different way.
I see.
So when people go anger, they go sadness, they go depression, they're assuming a label and everybody go, yes, I don't like that either. That's not what we're talking about. Those are labels. The experience itself isn't even labeled. Anger as an experience is this flush of energy and excitation. It's quite honestly orgasmic.
Right.
Unless you come in and label it, judge it, and interfere with it, then you don't actually have anger anymore.
You see,
you have something else.
We're also very conditioned to believe through a lot of religions, actually, that there's a feeling that we need to be unattached. That we shouldn't have attachment to anything. It's like saying, oh, shouldn't I be attached to my children? I'm damn attached to my children. I love them. And guess what? I am not attached to being unattached. In other words, if that arises in me, that love and attachment, of course. You know, I mean, it's or you're attached to your car, you just spent a lot of money, you love your car and you feel attached. That's your natural arising. That's the attachment.
Nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Yes.
I think another fault in my thinking is that I thought peace conflict with all the bad feelings, but I now understand that you can be peaceful and then still have tons of bad feelings.
Well, you will be peaceful as soon as you go, this is okay.
The peace is not needing the peace. The freedom is not needing the freedom. The joy is not needing the joy. You are free from having it be a certain way and okay with it being the way it is. That's the definition of freedom.
Got it. Thank you very much.
Also at 12:10.
Based on maintaining a certain condition or state, you see, because they're all going to change. It has to be based on a relationship to the condition or state, which is always temporary. It's your relationship to that enables you to be free.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, well, good. I'm glad that was quick. Okay. I'm sorry. What'd you say?
That's okay. It's Rasa time. We have exactly 20 minutes till 12:30.
Okay, so anybody that needs to use the restroom and take a break, because I'm going to go do that, and then we'll do the Rasa, which will be 20 minutes in silence.
I'm also going to go. We'll be right back.
Yeah, we'll be right back.
Hold on one second, Ananda. I muted you. Let me unmute you. Okay, go ahead.
Does everybody know when we give the rasa just to relax, receive, give it a permission slip, allow, and then I guess everyone's muted, right? During the rasa, the same thing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's 20 minutes in silence. Close your eyes, be still, relax, enjoy.
Yeah, and if your video or your picture isn't showing, please, if you can, make it visible to us.
But we're going to mute ourselves as
Yeah,
well.
so 20 minutes in silence, eyes closed. Here we go.
That was the rasa, everyone.
So if you can, sit quietly for a while. And there'll be 2 more on the next 2 Saturdays of these sessions. You can listen to the recording at the end if you want. Some people do that and continue to get benefit from the silent rasa at the end.
Also, we have a Facebook page. One of our incredible students
right.
is doing that for us. So if you don't mind liking us, if you happen to be on social media, liking us on Facebook and sharing, that would be cool. We'd appreciate that.
Is that called Rasa Transmission International?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, our new website, rasatransmissioninternational.com, and I think that's the name of the Facebook page. Is that right, Jason?
Thank you, Gary G. Gary just posted it for us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, so if you have time, sit down or lie down quietly for a little while, 15 minutes or so. If not, that's fine too. So get rasa and live your life, awaken.
Thank you.
Love you all. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Bye. Love you. Thank you both.
Thank you. You
Our
were
pleasure.
wonderful.
Much love to everyone.
Great questions, great people.
Great
Thank
people
you.
and great hosts. Thank you very much for
Thank
that.
you.
To
Yeah,
the OC as
fantastic.
always. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Okay,
All right.
love you. Bye-bye.
Love to you all. Bye-bye.